Kevin J. Johnston, the #1 name in the land of the North, he's risen to fame. 40 years deep in the law he's read. Now the CRA shakes in fear and dread. Stop paying tax forever, my friend. With Kevin J. Johnston, the fight doesn't end. Corporate debt, he'll make it all good. He's the man the CRA misunderstood. Payroll problems, they vanish like mist when Kevin shows up with his legal fist. No more matching, no more lies, just clean-cut books and clear blue skies. Stop paying tax forever, my friend. With Kevin J. Johnston, the rules start to bend. The CRA can scream and shout, but Kevin knows how to throw them out. They claim they've got the final say, but Kevin proves there's a better way. He fights for truth, he fights for you, and teaches what the courts won't do. Forever today. Let Kevin J. Johnston show you the way. The expert, the rebel, the man with a plan. He's saving this nation, one client per hand. He's got 40 years of tax law knowing and corporate skills that keep cash flowing. GST, payroll, all in line. He'll save your neck and every dime. He studied law, both civil crime, and makes tax code sound so sublime. With stand-up jokes and punchlines tight, he makes your seminar a night of light. Kevin J. CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J. Taking all your tax away. If the government's scared, then it's safe to say he's the hero of the North. Kevin J. 2 million women cast their vote, said Kevin's hot, that's all she wrote. The suits at CRA can't compete, he's beaten them clean without deceit. 100 mil he's saved so far, he's raising truth like a legal star. And if you think you owe the state, he'll show you how to terminate. Kevin J. CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J. Taking all your tax away. If the government's scared, then it's safe to say he's the hero of the North. Kevin J. The tax act's just a paper myth unless you work for CRA, no ifs. He buys your corp, clears every cent, then laughs while walking from the government. Restructure payroll, skip the fees, fire the tax man with graceful ease. He's winning battles in the courts each day. Soon he'll cost the feds $1 billion. Hooray! Kevin J. CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J. Canada's freedom ray. If you're
Kevin J. Johnston here. Welcome to the Tax and Money Show, which is live every single Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the taxandmoneyshow.com. And yes, for those of you who've been watching for a while, freedomreport.ca will still take you to my Rumble channel. Thank you all for being here tonight. Greatly, greatly appreciate that. I was in surgery was it last week, so I missed Tuesday. I thought I might actually be missing 3 or more weeks. Turns out that I'm not missing 3 or more weeks. Here I am. Now, I am nowhere near 100% for tonight, folks. I will go as long as I possibly can before I just kind of pass out and fall down on the floor here. So I want to say thank you for everyone for showing up. And tonight is Your Questions Answered, just like the slide said. There it is, in fact, Your Questions Answered. We're going straight into all of your queries tonight. We're not going to be doing any presentations. I have not had any time to put together a show from that standpoint. I figure, hey, I miss you guys. I really, really miss being here, guys. So as a result of me missing you so much, I came back a week early, and here we are. So I'm having a tough time typing on this new French keyboard I have. So I got a great deal on a gaming laptop, but the problem is the keyboard is en français. You know how tough it is to type on that nonsense. Alrighty, I'm just going to log in quickly here and have a look at the chat. Now, first question there. Is there capital gains on a summer cabin? Well, if you're foolish and you tell the CRA that you have a capital gain, then yeah, there's a capital gain on it. If you say nothing to the CRA, then of course there are no capital gains. The idea is, and when it comes to capital gains, there is a line on the tax return, line 12,700. Now that does not mean there's more than 12,000 things to write down. That's just the number of the line. Problem is, if you put anything on there, capital gain, even $1, there's going to be at least 3 more forms that you have to fill out, everybody. And those 3 more forms are then going to lead to even more questions being asked. The forms are exceptionally complex, and I mean really complex, where you kind of have to hire a tax lawyer to fill them out for you. That is a huge problem. So you do not want to ever put a single solitary number on line 12,700. Because those forms will lead them to ask more and more and more questions. And that's when you're going to divulge more information about your own company. So we absolutely do not want you to be that line at all. Keep your mouth closed about capital gains. If you're concerned, however, about the form, then what you could do is always send me a request and I can transfer capital losses to you. We have $500 million worth of capital losses, everybody. So I can transfer them over to you. Sandeep, do you buy corporations with debt under debt of $5,000? That's not worth your time because the minimum cost is $15,000. What we could do though is we could talk about a debt transfer. Get a hold of me on my website, please, kevinjjohnston.com. Maria, it's Maria from Toronto. What happens when you get audited for simple taxes? You make sure that you contact me and my law firm, and we get rid of the auditor. It is that simple. You do not have to cooperate with an auditor. They're not even allowed on your property. You say, yes, they got to go. If they don't leave, you call 911. The wages being garnished. My employer, CRA, wants $8,000. What should I tell my employer? Well, what we have to do here is we have to invoke Clause 7 of the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. And when we do that, the invocation of it is going to, at that point, stop what you owe in the way of taxes. The invocation must be transferred over to the CRA. It has to be notarized. And then we have to send a legal threat to your employer stating that we have, according to Clause 7 of the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, invoked it. We do not owe tax. We're waiting for our impartial hearing, which might come up a year or 2 down the road. And your employer has no choice at that point but to discontinue the garnishment. And if he doesn't, you sue his ass. That's what we do. All right, ready, everyone. We are here as long as we possibly take it. So let's get your questions rolling here. Steve says, no court order. They lied to me. They say I owe them $60,000. Steve, the CRA is broke. Canada's broke. Employment insurance is empty. And CPP, the Canada Pension Plan, will be empty before the year 2032. Naturally, the CRA is out there stealing from everybody. And the big problem is everyone's actually afraid of these people. That's the part that irritates me the most is I'm getting all kinds of adults complaining, crying to me about, my God, the big bad CRA. Well, if you've been watching my videos for the last 2.5 years, you'll know how to protect yourself. If your house and your car and your money is not in your name, the CRA has nothing they can do. Nothing that they can do. So, with the CRA, telling them to screw off is one thing, but you want to make sure you're doing it properly, everybody. And if you're going to not be doing it properly, then they'll come at you. But if we get rid of them the legal way, not the free man on the land crap, we don't do that stupid crap. No, when we get rid of them properly, then they have no choice but to leave you alone. Do I need to report my house sale and my taxes? Nope. You don't have to say a damn word. You have the right to remain silent. Exercise the right to remain silent. Archive is saying you're being told that you owe $40,000. Yeah, but we have to get them to justify that. So I mean, I have to be your tax guy, and we got to write the appropriate legal letters to get that to happen. But the CRA has no choice but to prove that to you. Otherwise, you can sue them for what's called fraud. Tort law is when there is some kind of a wrong that's committed against you that's not quite criminal, but could be considered criminal. If the police won't get involved, you go straight to tort law and you sue them for fraud. If you hit the CRA with a $5 million lawsuit, believe me, they're going to come to the table and begin to negotiate with you on that. Let me just have a quick peek over here at the Rumble room. Did you hear that Donald Trump gave an executive order to close bank of non-residents? Do you think that's going to affect LLC bank accounts for Canadians and others? You know what? I actually had not heard that announcement. I need to read that announcement before I offer any judgment on that one. LLCs that are owned from outside of the country that they tax, I don't imagine that they would want to attack this. I think he's looking for a set demographic, if you know the truth. I don't think he's looking for just any old Canadian to shut down their account. But that is worth looking into, and that's something we certainly shall do. And Alex tells me the new set's looking good. Yeah, we're almost there, guys. We're absolutely almost there. Everyone kept asking me, what's your website address? So, seal. HeavenJohnson.com. Right? There it is. There it is, everybody. Right up here. Can't miss it. In fact, can I have the remote control for this sign, please? Why not have some fun with it? All right, what's the next question there? How do you get an appointment with me? Go to my website, kevinjjohnston.com, and grab yourself a consultation, which you can do right there on the website, and everything is going to be just fun. There we go, folks. I got a little remote control with the sign here. Got all kinds of cool swirly colors and whatnot. Look at that thing go. That's $1,200 I've spent in a while. Let's go back to the questions here. Oh, everything's from left to right? Really? I thought we fixed that problem. Yeah. On TikTok, what you seeing it backwards too? Sorry, everyone on TikTok, you're seeing it backwards. Is everybody on Rumble seeing it forwards or backwards? Could anyone let me know in the chat which way are you seeing everything? Rumble's forwards. That means YouTube and everything else is forward. We got to figure this out. Does anybody have an app that automatically makes sure that the camera facing me doesn't reverse itself? Why do phone companies do that? Anyone have any idea why this thing would be reversed? I think that's the most incredibly stupid thing going. Yeah, so someone is suggesting we get a sign that's backwards. Well, if you want to pay the $1,200 for that, be my guest. We will say aye to that. Not a problem at all. Actually, I think I know what the solution is, everybody. The phone is going to have to face me. I won't be able to see the screen. I'll have to have a separate PC on a table here with TikTok playing and actually see the questions. Yeah, the front camera sucks. It annoys me. I don't know why I can't adjust it to being the right way off or right way on. And Alex is saying that the audio seems to be a little bit off. Let's have a look as to why that would be. Sorry, everybody. We did have an audio guy, but the audio guy just kind of up and left. All right. Alex, that you better. I've reduced the gains on the microphone for you. Really is good. All right. What percentage of my clients get audited? Zero. think for a second that I'm going to allow the CRA to run an audit on my clients? Anybody who is right now having an auditor pester them, all they got to do is contact me, and I'm going to get rid of the auditor. My clients don't get audited. We audit the hell out of the auditor. We give the auditor a very difficult time. We go out of our way to make sure that the auditors know that they are not welcome, not at the office, not at the house, not near the person's kids. And in fact, um, we've been teaching our clients quite well that when the CRA comes to their door, just tell them to leave once. If they say anything other than okay and then leave, just call 911. You don't have to let jerks into your property. So zero, none of our clients get audited. We've had a few CRA staff decide they want to take us on, and they don't do very well when they try to take us on. And I'll let your imagination go on that one. It's usually just lawsuits, folks. It's not broken legs. Alrighty. Yes. All right. So apparently we have audio cutting out intermittently. Are you getting that same problem? Okay. My accountant back in 2023 and 2024 told me I have to declare my widow pension that I received from Switzerland. I have my 23 and 24 income tax redone to get some of that money back. Okay. First, your accountant is an idiot. All right. Let's just prove that right now. How would the Canadian government know that you have a pension from Switzerland or Eritrea or South Africa or Brazil? How would they know until you tell them? Everyone's biggest problem when it comes to CRA, folks, and I know some of you are guilty of this, and I'm not saying that you're bad people for it, but I am asking you to think things through a bit more clearly. How do you think that the incompetent, low IQ maniacs who work for the CRA know anything about your personal at all? How would they know? They know because you tell them. That's how it happens. So we could redo your taxes and add the appropriate medical expenses to wipe out what damage that lawyer has done, or sorry, that accountant. But that's really ridiculous, folks. You cannot, under any circumstances, report to the CRA that you have earnings from outside of Canada. That's your money. That's your business. It's not their business, and it's not their money. Next question. They ask you a question and say, "How did you know?" They reply, okay, so Rio, I think what you're trying to tell me is that the only way the CRA knows anything about what you are and who you are and what you do and how you do it is if you answer their questions. And that's absolutely correct. If you stop talking to people, stop answering the phone, or stop talking to people on the phone, or you know what's even better? You can be vile and racist and crass and gross on the phone. And they have these policies where they're not allowed to be abused on the phone. They just stop calling. You guys remember that crazy video I did about a year and a half ago? It was an auditor who called me. I had bought a corporation. The corporation $440,000 in GST. Right? And I liquidated all the assets, and I told the CRA, all right, let's do this in the courts. So the auditor called me, and he doesn't speak English very well. I kept him on the phone, and I accused him of having herpes. I think I said it 22 times in the conversation, and he actually talked to me for 22 minutes. And then when I put the video up, it got somewhere in the range of like 2 million views. It was one of my funniest videos ever. And then I called the guy 4 weeks later to say, listen, like, let's do the audit. I can't wait to meet you. And he yells into the phone, Kevin, you humiliate me. I will not talk to you. The audit is over. And he hangs the phone. Literally, like just me having some fun at an auditor's expense. He hangs up the phone and then discontinues the audit. That's how weak these people are. They're not to be feared. They're to be played with like toys. All right, next. My husband died in 2020, and in 2024, I received a letter stating that the estate owed $17,000. Whom did that letter come from? That's the first question I would ever ask anybody. Who did it come from, and what's the exact wording? Because a $17,000 amount is actually very easy to get rid of using the appropriate legal letters, the appropriate legal threat. I need to know who sent that. Okay. Oh, someone's saying I could possibly flip the Hey, did it work? Okay. Well, who's that? Who said that to me? So, Sandra, I owe you a keg of beer. I didn't even know that option was there. That's how little monkeying around I do with phones and whatnot. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you very much. Alrighty. Is it how much to hire me? Well, Steve, it depends on what it's going to be. I mean, I can tell you some of the pricing right now. Legal lessons are as low as $500 up to $2,500, depending on the complexity and the amount of threats that we have to put forth. And of course, the number of phone calls I've got to make to the individual representative at the CRA. Basic tax is $950 per tax year. Usually, on average, people are around $1,100 per tax year to get their personal taxes done. Corporate tax starts at $2,500 per year. So we're about one third the price of CPAs, but 10 times better than every CPA combined in the country. That's how that works. Let me head into the room here and check some questions. All right. Can I fix 2 weeks ago audio on Rumble? It's missing a lot of dialogue. No, no, we can't. You'd have to actually watch that one on TikTok. We were experimenting with a brand new camera that I had bought. So this camera's got this really cool feature where I do this with my left hand, and the camera will then follow me as I walk around. But the camera, for whatever reason, was trying to override the actual audio. We didn't know that until everyone started mentioning no audio, no audio, no audio. So that camera has not been hooked up again tonight. We have a lot of figuring out to do. By the way, now hiring a video producer. You have to move to Panama. You got to work in the office here. But your job is to make sure the cameras look good, the computers are set up, and the lights are set up, sound checks are done. That's going to be your job because I'm going to be doing a lot of video work. I've restructured my entire company, so I have a lot more time to do research and present on video everything that all of you need to know. So now hiring. And unless you're talented, and we don't use Mac, we're on PC, unless you're talented and capable and you don't mind working in an environment that is extremely fast paced and you don't mind being around a pain in the ass, and I am a pain in the ass to work for, then but if you're weak and wimpy and you can't make your mind up and you're afraid of being wrecking the boat and so on, don't even bother contacting me, man. I've got no time for that at all. I need aggressive people who get things done because I am the most aggressive guy I've ever met. I need to meet people with aggression as opposed to passivity. Passivity don't make money. It truly doesn't. Just miss. How can I put everything into a trust? Well, that's like a 20-minute answer. Trusts are great. Yeah, 2 to 10 houses, or more. If you got like 5, 6 collector cars and a whole bunch of other vehicles, you got boats, trailers, trucks, and all that. If you got all of that stuff, everybody, then a trust is absolutely what you want to have. But if you've only got one house or 2 houses or something, or a house and a cottage, just do it through numbered corporations because a numbered corporation with properly written corporate bylaws will suffice. It'll actually replace the trust. You don't need to put that in there. All right, back to the Rumble room. Check a couple things here. Trying to open up a bank account for a Panamanian-based corporation. They ask a lot of questions. They want tax returns and financials. Yes, every bank in Panama is like that, but Superman 21, that's what my lawyer down here. They get financials, they get you all the information, everything gets filled out. And if you require something like, let's say, you're moving 5-10 million bucks down to Panama, we just need to know in advance so that the appropriate bank account can be opened for you. Yeah, opening one up without a lawyer, and of course, without my intervention, it is a pain in the ass. All right. How do I protect the assessment the CRA made up? I never filed for 3 years. Well, first off, Clay, you have to get you a brand new assessment, which means I'd go back 5 years, get your personal taxes done, wait for the assessment, and then you object to the numbers that they project. Once the objection goes in, you do not owe tax dollars until we get a resolution in tax court, which will take about 2 or 3 years. Okay, yes. So say there's a good question there. Sheep of the Shepherd says, you mentioned that you have work for Canadians, but most are lazy. Yeah, I made a video 2 weeks ago, and I was not expecting any positive response whatsoever. What I was talking about, I had a very lengthy conversation with a very dear friend of mine who I had learned is suffering quite the illness. And one of the things that he says, he doesn't have any life regrets, but he has a lot of life resentments. And the big resentment was he could never find good people to take a job on and do the friggin' job, like actually get the job done. Whereas the Canadian way of doing things is to do the job half-assed, but always have your hand out looking for pay. And last year I fired 7 such people who wouldn't do their job. So what I do is I'm telling everyone right now, if you're not doing your job, you ain't getting your paycheck. All right. This is how I do things. I'm going to hold your pay. Your pay is segregated. It's ready for you. But to not do the job pisses me off. And I just wait. When I don't pay someone on time, I wait. A phone call comes in. I didn't get my paycheck. I said, yep, you didn't do your job. That's it. I'm waiting for you to finish your work. So he and I agreed on that. And I decided in a bit of frustration, seeing how painful my friend is, he's really suffering. I made a video about the fact that I've had a very difficult time hiring good people in Canada. Just do the job. I'm paying you. Do the job. So I started with flyers. A lot of folks are complaining they cannot find work. I thought, okay. Back in January, I had ads in a number of places online and in a couple of bogus newspapers saying, deliver flyers, $30 an hour. The only caveat is you have to film yourself doing it on a GoPro or just put your phone in your pocket and film. All right. And I had a bunch of people contacted me, and my full-time secretary here called them up. And as soon as they found out that they'd have to deliver flyers for 5 or 6 hours a day, none of them wanted the job. Like, just nobody wanted the job. It's weird. And they're not even flyers. I do it even easier for people. They're postcards. They're printed on cards, though, like a business card, except 5 inches by 7 inches. And all you do, you're not going door to door at people's houses. That's a waste of time. What I do is I get you to go to big parking lots like Costco and Home Depot, Canadian Tire, places like that, and just like a flick of the wrist like that. It goes underneath only 1 centimeter of the windshield wiper of every car in the parking lot. Move on to the next parking lot. Same thing. So doing that, we can hit 1,000 people in like 20 minutes. All right. So imagine you're out there. I'm paying you $30 an hour to get these postcards in people's hands, or stand in front of big venues like football games and hockey games and whatnot, and just hand flyers to people. That's it. And nobody wanted to work. Well, it turns out that all over Canada, there's been about 500 people saying they want the job. So I am going to be selecting my cities this week. I'll make another video on TikTok very shortly telling you which cities we're going to start the postcard initiative in. And it's mostly based on weather these days. I know that we're in June, July's coming up, and August, September. June to September are the best times of the year to actually deliver these things. So I am serious. I would love to get a lot of people out there just clicking those banners, or the postcards, into play. And I also had said that for $30 an hour, you take one of my banners and strap it to a bridge over top of a highway and just stand there drinking coffee until the cops tell you to move it. Take it down, move on to another bridge, drink coffee until the cops come and tell you to take it down, go to another bridge. You're not being paid just for the time to travel between bridges. You're being paid from the time you roll one up and get in your car. That's how I do things, everybody. And I know that banners on bridges works incredibly well. I know the postcards work well. So look, anybody wants to work, yes, we're opening it up to a few cities in the next couple of weeks. Guys, it's $30 an hour. And it's not like I'm going to tell the CRA you. So it's $30 an hour. It's not $30 an hour minus $18 in tax. All right. Is there a way to unfreeze your, actually, good point there. Someone's saying you're in. All right, guys, you got to go to kevinjjohnston.com. That is an M right there. And let me know in the contact form that you'd like to deliver flyers. And we'll get a bunch of flyers shipped out to your address and get started. And again, there's no punch clock. You just have to film it. So if you got a GoPro, strap it on your hat, strap it on your chest. You got another kind of camera, just run it. If you wanted to, you could go on Facebook and just do it live, like actually go live saying, hey, you're handing out flyers. You might even get people watching, because there will be some people that react to what you're handing them. And sometimes the stuff that people say to you is comedy gold. Some people like this face, and some people not so much. That's just how it is. And Tony says Brampton, Mississauga. Yeah, that's a good place to go. Right. I got to look at some of the questions I had been emailed already. If I have a company and I don't charge GST or in Ontario HST, that means I do not have to pay it. Okay. If you are charging GST, the goods and services tax in Canada, which is the 5% federal tax, or if you're charging HST, which is the harmonized sales tax, Ontario is do 13%, Nova Scotia is 14, New Brunswick, Newfoundland are 15%. If you're collecting it, CRA wants to pay it. But here's the way it really works. If you make 100 grand and spend 100 grand to make the 100 grand, you've made $0. So any of the HST you've collected, you're keeping because it offsets the HST or the GST that you have spent to run the business. If you make $100,000 profit, you're foolish enough to tell the CRA about it, then they're going to want you to hand for about $13,000 in Ontario. Now, $14,000 in Nova Scotia, $5,000 in Alberta. They will want that money from you. That's why I'm saying shut up about what you do. So collect it, they want it back. But if you go collect it and you go for a fact, you're going to lose money, which almost every company is doing now. Then what the CRA does, if you spend more than you make, they're supposed to give you back the GST and the HST overage, right? So if you make 100 grand, but you spend 200 grand to make the 100 grand, then they owe you $13,000. That's how that works. So yeah, of course, you want to pay it to them, but only if you're foolish enough to report it to them in the first place. Like the whole idea in Canada is that the white collar laws are so weak that there's nothing that you could actually do wrong in the way of violating the Income Tax Act or the Excise Tax Act that's actually listed in the Criminal Code of Canada. So it's actually not illegal to open up a corporation and make money and never report it, right? It's against the Income Tax Act, but there's no punishment. And that's the big key difference between law and acts. In the Criminal Code of Canada, if you rob somebody, it says punishment. If you sneeze at the wrong time and somebody's offended, the new law in Canada says there's a punishment of 2 years. You break into someone's house, punishment. If you have firearms without a license, punishment. Blow a gas station up, punishment. But in the Income Tax Act, if you don't do what they want, the word punishment is not in any of the Income Tax Act. So there's no punishment for you should you decide that you just don't feel like playing their game. And the biggest piss off for me when it comes to the CRA is the fact that they want you to do all this paperwork, but they're not compensating you. I don't do anything for free. CRA wants me to do something, pay me or get a court order, and they do neither, so they get nothing. I'm going to get my money out of my lira without paying taxes. Yes, we'll be able to help with that. Oh, thanks for looking at that. I got the hat. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, we've got a brand new product that is going to allow you to take our RRSPs, our ESPs, and lira, and not pay a penny of tax. But not yet, everyone. Not yet. My lawyer is still clearing this one. All right, Falcon. Hi, Kevin. I contacted your website about the filters. I have not yet received a reply. I'm in Ontario. I want to hand. Oh, not filters. Flyers. My God, my eyes are bad. Okay. I want my pay to be put into my bank account in Panama. Guys, this is the best part of it for me. I'll put your money wherever the hell you want. Okay. Some people ask me if I could pay them onto their prepaid Visa cards. Or can I pay them to a bank account in the States? Or can I pay their company account? I don't care. Guys, I'm not following the CRA that you're making money. So I'll put the money anywhere you want. I owe $7,200 for income tax for a sole proprietorship last year. Any advice? Yeah, make me your tax guy and then get me a list of every single GST expense that you have, because I'm going to wipe out your entire debt by making sure all the expenses go in. The biggest problem with accountants is that they're afraid to put all of your expenses in there. I'll fix that. Is there a way to unfreeze a bank account when the CRA demands that the bank freezes it? Yes, there is. We read through those tax years, submit them, threaten the CRA, give them 15 days to unlock the account. They won't do it. Hit them with a $5 million lawsuit, and then you'll see how fast that they unfreeze that bank account. You always, 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 folks, have to make sure you're on the attack with these people at all times. And that is exactly what we do. And if the CRA representative is extremely belligerent, I've got a private investigator. His job, find out where they live. And what do? We mess with them big time. Right? We don't trespass. We don't burn the house down. We don't scratch their car. They deserve all of that. We don't do it. Instead, we put liens on their property and drag them into the courts. File criminal charges where necessary. I need you to help me as well. They say I owe more than $10,000, yet I was unemployed for 6 months last year. Well, who did the taxes? You see, what happens here, some folks, you're unemployed, but then you don't do your taxes. So you could always write down you made $0. Just put down, like I made $1,200 and submit that. What that is, that's probably the CRA just deliberately assessing a random number to you because you didn't do your taxes. So I would have to do your taxes for you, go back a few years and reset that to zero, where it belongs. Unemployed people should not be paying tax, but the CRA will always put those numbers onto you, always. Why do you keep telling people to get their house out of their personal name and into a corporation? I'm worried about not getting what? I don't understand. I think what you're trying to say is that you're worried about not having the automatic exemption for a capital gain. All right, that's true. Yes, in Canada, you buy a house for, let's say, 100 grand, and you sell it for $1.1 million 10 years later. That is a profit of $1 million. But if it's your primary residence, you don't pay capital gain on that. Okay, cool. But if it's in a corporation, the corporation has the capital gain. But again, everyone, remember this. When you open up a holding company, you're not the director. You're the owner of it, but you're not the director of it. So what happens is a corporation owns a house, and the house has $1 million profit, and you sell the house. And the CRA, maybe 3 to 5 years later, sends letters out saying, hey, wait a minute, we think you sold a house, and we think there might be a capital gain. If you were never the director, it doesn't matter. What are they going to do? Chase money? That's who the director is. Well, my corporation, it's not, but it is very much a Warner Brothers fictional character, and they can chase. Well, I'll tell you who it is. They can chase Bruce Wayne, all right? Because Bruce Wayne's rich. He's got the money. They can chase the director. If the director is never you, you are never going to be in any kind of problem whatsoever. How long does it take to get an appointment with me? Go to my website. You can book now. Just get in there, log in, and grab yourself on the calendar. All right, it's right there. FinTrack would know if someone has a considerable amount of foreign exchange to convert to Canadian dollars. Any way to get away with that? First off, why in the hell would you want Canadian dollars? Let's be real, okay? I do not want Canadian dollars at all. It's garbage. It's plastic toilet paper is what it is. It's not worth anything. And as it stands right now, the only country in Latin America that actually will exchange it is Mexico, and only because of the population. But there's going to be a day when even Mexico says, you know what, we don't want this crap in our banks. Literally, man. So don't take Canadian dollars. If you are making money in US dollars, put it into a US-based bank account, whether it be in the United States or be in Panama or Colombia. There's all kinds of banks all over the world. Now, spread your money around. Put it on wise.com, WISE.com. Put your money there, but don't convert it to Canadian dollars. You're going to lose. It's dumb to do that, folks. It really, really is. Okay. A friend of mine made a large RRSP contribution in 2025. Still hasn't seen the refund. Heard nothing. Is this a sign of an audit coming? No, it's a sign that the CRA is broke. And RRSPs are a scam. They will tax the living crap out of you when you cash them in retirement. If you want a retirement savings plan, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, buy that stuff. Crypto, property. I actually had a look at everything I've got. You didn't know this, but it turns out as of this morning, 94% of my entire wealth is in crypto and property. I do not carry liquid cash anymore. I'm done. If some guy says stick them up, I got to do this. Let's go to the bank and get something. All right, no problem. There's $3,000 in this bank account. I'm not keeping money around, guys. Period. It's all in property. You guys want a future? It's crypto. RSPs, RESPs, Lira, all this stupid crap that everybody in Canada thinks is a good idea. And you think it's a good idea because your friends, cousins, neighbors, dogs, brothers, I don't know, grandmother says, "Oh, yeah, I heard that if you get an SRP, yeah, you get money when you get older." Yeah, that's how people think, man. People think that your RRSP is going to earn you enough interest so you can retire on it. No, it earns a little bit of interest and you get taxed to hell on it. Why would you want that? Yeah, you may as well take the money and burn it. So stay away from the RRSP. If it's the Canadian government, it's a scam. Stay away from it. As for buying crypto, everybody, the two big boys out there that I would recommend to buy it is Binance and Crypto.com. All the others, forget about them, right? Binance and Crypto.com are the two biggest in the world. Stick with them, buy your crypto, move it to a hard wallet. You're done. Nobody can take your money from you. That's how that works. All right. So don't ever think that you're going to earn interest in Canada. It doesn't happen. Hey, listen, you guys want to make interest? How about this? In Mexico, if you put 500 grand in the bank right now in select banks in Mexico City, they'll pay 12% a year. But you also have to remember, everyone, that Mexico right now has an extremist left-wing nutjob president who, if you remember correctly, 38 candidates for president either died or got shot or got stabbed. So obviously it was a rigged election. I'm not putting any money in Mexico. Colombia, I'm putting money in Colombia. Panama, I'm putting money into Barbados, but I'm not going to be putting money into Mexico. I'm absolutely putting $0 and 0 cents into Canada. There's no way in hell you're going to get me to do any of that. All right. So I got a couple of quick questions here. Let me make sure I can see them okay. Oh, yeah. For everyone who's wondering, I am on Twitter or X. And as of this week, hold on. What's that? It's x.com slash K. Let me get there. KJJ tax. It says I haven't posted anything. That's kind of weird. Oh, because I have to log in. That's what. Hey, friend, grab my cell phone off my desk. I always want to have a look at it because I get a lot of questions on Twitter as well. So yeah, KJJ tax on Twitter or X. Please head over there and follow. Yeah, it's like 1,000 followers this week just based off of like the last 5 days of posting. It's actually been pretty good. Clay says, I'm in bad shape financially. That's why I never paid CRA. How can I hold them off until I can afford to talk to you? We have to put in a cease and desist notification. You got to tell the CRA in writing to cease and desist because you're currently seeking out legal advice. No, not the other one. You're currently seeking out not legal counsel. So when you tell someone, Bungu, I'm looking for a lawyer, I need 120 days to do it, they actually have to give you the 120 days to do it. If they contact you again, call the cops. Call the freaking cops, guys. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever for any of you out there to not be calling the police. Okay. So let's have a look here. By the way, everyone go to x.com, KJJ Tax, and let me know if you can see it. And just go ahead, please follow it. Let's try to get 100 followers off the show right now. And if you're not yet following me or subscribed to me here on TikTok, please do so. And I've got to get more thumbs up on all social media. So if you're on YouTube, share. If you're on x.com, share here. In fact, what are we at? 20,000 likes so far on TikTok. That's just not enough. Everyone, 2 fingers like that. Rapid fire. Let's get the machine gun hearts flying right there in the bottom right corner. Let's get that rocking, please, folks. It really does help the algorithm find me. What would I suggest Canadians? Would I suggest that Canadians sell all their assets and get out ASAP? Yeah. I actually wanted to leave in 2005. I really did. But yeah, I was married to the wrong woman, I guess. all kinds of battles and fights and arguments about leaving the country. And eventually I just say, you know what? I'm done. I'm out. Bye. When I left Canada, I was flat broke. I was broke as hell. And now my net worth is well over 7 million bucks, just 2.5 years. So when you guys get away from a left wing nut job country where everyone's angry all the time, Canadians are mad about everything all the time. And rightfully so. Your culture has been completely destroyed. The culture is completely, it's watered down. There's nothing left of Canadian culture. And our game of hockey can only be played now by families where the income is over 200 grand a year. Hockey's too expensive. So our game cannot be afforded by anyone. We can't afford to ski anymore. Our skiers, our snowboarders, our hockey players, our lugists, our bobsled guys, we simply cannot win medals in Canada because nobody can afford anything in Canada. I got an idea. Does anybody want to join me and get a Panama bobsledding team going? I mean, it worked for the Jamaicans. Yeah, why not us? God, those guys were hilarious. They used to sell a lot of hard liquor on TV. Remember them? So let's get something going, folks. There's better places to be. That guy, Andrew from Nomad Capitalist, his slogan is a good one. Go where you're treated best. Panama has been very, very good to me. I mean, very good to me. I have had 0 issues in Panama. No dirty looks, no fist fights, no middle fingers. Yeah. Whenever I'd be out in public in Canada, it was 50-50. It'd be half the country would be like, hey, Kevin, great to meet you. I watch your show all the time. And the other half would be middle fingers or throwing stuff at me. One guy walked over to me in a bar called Jameson's right downtown Calgary and just pushed all of my chicken wings on the floor. F you, Johnston. Walks out the door. Now, the manager was cool. He replaced the wings, but that's what's going on in Canada. There's a lot of left-wing nuts in Canada who just don't like a true conservative viewpoint. And, guys, I would be what you would have called a liberal. I would have been voting for the Liberal Party back in the days of Jean Chrétien. So I always say, live and let live. I don't care what you do. Just do it behind closed doors. Don't hurt kids. Don't hurt the innocent. Go make money. That was always my thought process. But it turns out that the way that liberal thinking was 25 years ago is now conservative thinking. And liberals have just gone cuckoo, like just wildly cuckoo. So much so that they want to walk into a restaurant, see a conservative guy who's on TikTok and YouTube and throw his food on the floor. There's none of that in Panama. If someone did that in Panama, everybody else would stop them. The cops would show up, beat the crap out of you, and arrest you. Nobody would see you for a couple of weeks. So when you are away from bad ideology, and when you're away from a bad economy, and of course all the bad weather and all the rules, your mind can flourish, man. Like I went to Costa Rica for a while. Can't make money in Costa Rica. That country sucks. But at least when I was walking up and down the sides of mountains every day, sweating my guts out, I had time to clear my head. And I realized every mistake that I had made by not having left Canada 20 years earlier. Right? So there's more out there, guys. There's better out there. There's better people out there. There's better ideologies out there. And there's better food out there. The food in Panama is unbelievable. It's fabulous, everyone. So try it. You might like it. All right. What's next here? Cosmic One, you have to exchange money. Sorry, Cosmic, what currency are you exchanging? And for what currency are you exchanging it to? Please let me know on that. Alrighty. So can I ignore GST and or HST because my business is really small? Well, if you make less than 30,000 bucks a year, you don't have to charge GST. But I would say if you have a corporation, get a GST number. All right. Why would you not want one? If you get a GST number, everybody, then you're going to be able to write off every single expense and possibly get some of your GST back. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, my website address right here, kevinjjohnston.com. Kevinjjohnston.com, right up there, the light up sign. In fact, the one I'm going to change colors on, right? You read above me here? Look at that. Mm, Here we go. There we go. Now it's purple. Now it's pukey green. Now it's now Irish, white, and green, so on. KevinJJohnston.com, folks. That's where you're going to find me. Let's go with a solid color. How's that one? There you go. That's where you're going to get a hold of me, folks. That's where you can book your appointments. Okay. What bank do I recommend in Panama? Um, in Panama, Tower Bank is a good one from the standpoint of they do crypto. You could transfer 10 Bitcoin down here and cash it out into US. You can do that. But the top tier two banks they're more difficult to deal with. One of the really good banks down here is called Lafisi. And another good one is Canal Bank, because Canal Bank is a tier 5 bank, which means less headache, less stress, less crap. And they also deal in Bitcoin. No other currency right now, but they deal in Bitcoin, which means that's going to help you out immensely. Panama has a new rule that expats have to register where they live with the government. Does that worry you? Don't know. What I'm talking about. I got my residency card, and I just wrote down where I live, and that's all I did. There's no major registration. Here's something Canadians don't understand. Your passport is your lifeline around the world. Canadians who don't travel have never had a passport, and nobody ever asks for one inside of Canada. But your passport is your identification everywhere in the world. Doesn't matter what you get. So, would the Panamanian government know that I own a whole bunch of property here in Panama? Sure. Do they care? Yes, from the standpoint of I'm stimulating the economy. I've spent a lot of money in Panama, folks, a lot, mostly on property and food, good food, right? So the registration that you're talking about was simply a matter of when I registered corporations down here, I flashed my passport. So there we go. And when I got my residency card 2 years ago, I flashed my passport and I flashed the letter from my bank saying I had more than $5,000 in the bank and that I have a good banking relationship with the bank. And that was it, guys. That was it. Instant residency card. So don't listen to any of the crap that you hear in Canada, because Canada lies about everywhere else in the world that's better than Canada, which is a whole places all around the world. Hey, you off my laptop open? Yeah, the X account. It says, look, check this out. Sorry, guys, I just got Randy helping me out here. But I always get concerned when I see stuff like this where it says KJJ Tax hasn't posted yet. What are you seeing? Okay, so it's working just fine. All right. X, guys, X.com, follow me there. KJJ Tax. I say a lot of stuff on Twitter that I cannot say on TikTok. Don't worry, it's nothing to do with nudity, and it's nothing to do with strippers, and it's nothing at all to do with vast quantities of profanity. That's not who I am. That's not how I talk. But I am telling the absolute truth about the way Canada functions and the way the Western world functions and the rest of the world functions. So if you want to hear raw Kevin J. Johnston completely uncensored, you can do it there, which is at x.com/KJJTax. Or if you really want the good stuff, you can follow me on Gab, which is just gab.com/Kevin J. Johnston. Alrighty. So Clay is asking me, what bank do I recommend in Alberta? Bow Valley's been good to everyone I know. I've sent about 250 clients there at least, and they're all very happy with the bank. Like Brett Oland, the president, he's been on my show 5 or 6 times already. So you could hear what he's got to say. You'll know that this guy hates the Canadian government as much as I do. All right. So how does one get their money out of Canada without government interference? Why does everybody think the government's going to interfere with you cutting checks to yourself or cutting checks to corporations? Guys, you go to your bank, say, hi, I have a corporation in Panama, and I would like you to take 99% of what's in my bank account and convert that to US dollars and turn that into a US bank draft so I can fly it down to Panama and put it in the bank. That's it. There's no interference. It's not like the border guards are stopping you from taking your money elsewhere. And the other thing that you can do is you can use your credit card. Literally, like let's say you've got one of those gold or platinum or obsidian cards where you could put like 500 grand purchase on a credit card. Then what I would do is I'd walk over to one of the condo groups that I work with and say, hey, listen, I got a client in Toronto who wants to buy a whole condominium with a Visa card. And they're going to say, okay, because if you reverse the credit card, you don't get the property. It's that simple, right? They just take it from you. You know, the awesome part about Panama is that everything can be on a deed. Hold on there, folks. I got this big thing here with TikTok. There we go. We got to drag the puzzle piece. Okay. Um, if you have something on a deed, great. It's yours forever. Nobody can take your property from you. However, and this is the big however, everybody, in Panama, if you buy a property on a credit card, which you can do, and then you reverse the credit card, you don't get the property, period, because that's a fraudulent conveyance. Right? The Panamanians aren't stupid, man. Like they want you to invest. So they say, listen, you can buy a property, you can split it yourself into 4 quads. Just have your lawyer register it with the local registry office and sell each quad off, right? And if the person doesn't pay you, they don't get it. But if they do pay you, it's theirs forever. You can't take it back. Pretty cool. So if you really want to get your money out of Canada, let me know. I'm the guy. I get everything moved fast. We also do it through gold and silver purchasing, through third-party companies, and we do it through crypto purchasing. So anybody who's sick of Canada, you want your money out, let me help you get it down to Panama. And it's golden down here. Alrighty. So everybody who's asking me about investing in the Iraqi dinar, I wouldn't buy a single, me personally, I'm not telling you what, but I'm telling you that me personally, I'm not going to be buying any foreign currencies any longer. There was a day when I would buy euro and I would buy all currencies and then ride the exchange rate based on world events, but you don't always win doing that. Well, because crypto is here and because gold and silver and property is here, that's where my money goes. I have zero faith in the countries of Iraq and Qatar and Iran and Oman and places like that to even exist in 50 years. I certainly am not going to be putting any money into their fiat currencies. Right now, even Dubai is suffering huge. Investing in the United Arab Emirates is just not a good idea. Not right now. I'm going there later this year to check it out for myself and actually see what the opportunities are. But as I've also been told, it gets to be like 130 degrees outside Fahrenheit, like 47 degrees Celsius and so on. I mean, I like the heat, but that might be a bit much. I know that everybody stays indoors, but I'm not an indoors guy. I love being outside. Could I actually handle it? I don't know. I've never tried that kind of a temperature before. The hottest I've ever lived in was in Phoenix, Arizona at 108 Fahrenheit, which was okay because it was extremely dry heat, but you add some moisture in the air. And so to answer your question, I will never invest in any Middle Eastern currency. But if it works for you, I'm happy for you. I'm just telling you that I have decided to stick with crypto and property. All right, let's check out. Yeah, 1 second there. In there. Okay, my clients pay me cash. Do I have to report the sale? Yes or no? All right, so I assume that that's a small business person. If you are collecting cash, good for you. Keep doing it. Cash is king. And as for the CRA, like I told you before, if you have a corporation and you have simply decided, I'm never going to do tax on this corporation, there's nothing they can do to punish you. Nothing at all. Just so long as you are not the director of the corporation. So do you have to tell the CRA? No. Should you? Well, if I'm your tax guy, I would say no. Do you feel that you should because you're afraid of the law? Well, that's on you. I can't answer that one. That is entirely on you. But you'll notice that I am the only tax guy out there saying the CRAs, they're not the law. They're not cops. They do not operate within the Criminal Code of Canada. It is all, and I mean all, civil law. And the CRA does not sue people. Why? Because they have to pay the Department of Justice $10,000 an hour to defend them. Why are they going to put that kind of money out coming after any of you? They're not going to do it. CRA does not file lawsuits. They know they're going to lose. All right. Oh, here's a good question here. Tell me about your HST program. Okay. Kind of a vague question, but I know what he's talking about. All right. What happens here, folks? If you own a company in Canada, a corporation, right? It's got to be a corporation, but it can also be a sole proprietorship where you're collecting GST or HST. Here's the way that we manage it is instead of you paying an accountant to do all of your HST and GST recordings for you, we do it absolutely free of charge. What we also get you to do is every month, the last day of every single month, you remit your GST and your HST collected to my corporation, at which point we cut you back 30% of that money immediately, cash back, tax-free as operating capital. We do it every month. Then we make sure that all of your accounting gets done. And with all of the expenses you incur, I promise you this, none of you are ever going to be showing profits again on your books, because when you get invoiced for something, even if you are allowed to pay it 2 or 3 years down the road, it's still a write-off. Still counts. So we got to make sure all of you out there know that we're going to cut you back 30% of all HST. We're going to do all of your HST filings for you, absolutely free of charge. You're never going to pay tax again on my HST program. Now, if that sounds too good to be true, it's because I invented it. You've never heard of anyone doing this, because every tax lawyer in the country is afraid of the CRA. I don't want to lose my license. And every chartered professional accountant in Canada says the same thing. I don't want to lose my license. That's what they sound like. When adults say that stupid crap to me, that's what they sound like. They are afraid of the CRA, whereas the CRA is terrified of me. They should be. I really do. I can't say on this show what I really think of them and what I really think that their fates should be. Say any of that, because they'll shut down every one of my platforms. But I'm sure you know. I'm sure all of you know just how much I hate the Canadian government and how much I hate the CRA. I've hated the CRA since I was 13. They took 1/3 of my parents' wealth just because. Now, that was my parents' fault for believing in the system, for not looking into their rights, for not hiring a lawyer at the time, for doing what they were told by good little sheep. That's on them. But it still never had to happen. And I've wanted vengeance since I was 13. I'll be 55 this year. So, CRA, I'm not going away. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to stop until all of you are out of business. How do you remove yourself as the director? If you've got the corporate keys for your corporation, log in, change the director to John Smith, Ronald Reagan, Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent. Don't care who it is. All right. Someone's telling me that many of the words I am saying, they cannot hear. There? On the audio? You're okay on Rumble? All right, folks. It's probably because I talk really fast. Nowhere near as fast as John Machida Jr., but certainly fast. All right. Well, does the CRA have the power in any way possible to revoke or suspend an account license? No. Okay, that's what I'm going to say, guys. CRA are not cops. They are not judiciaries. They have absolutely no authority in Canada over anyone of any kind. They cannot pull your driver's license. They cannot pull your passport. They cannot pull your fishing license, your boat license, your airplane license, your license plate on your car. They cannot take away your law license. They cannot do that. And they cannot strip an accountant of their accounting license. Now, something else to factor in with accounting licenses, everybody, is that accountants don't have a license. They have a membership. All right. Every single accounting governing body in Canada is a private company. They've got a membership. So you're telling me the CRA can call a private company saying, I need you to revoke the CPA license of Johnston because we don't like him. That's not how it works, everyone. So grow up. All right. Grow up. Before you fear something, understand it first. Okay. Which crypto exchange do I use in Panama? I told you guys earlier in the show. The only two I trust are crypto.com and Binance. and of course, hard wallets. Yeah, that's I don't deal with any other exchanges right now. And the CRA sees people's personal property, such as land. Not seize, but they will put liens on it. And the biggest issue with a lot of Canadians is that they just don't take my advice until it's too late. If you have your property in your personal name, you've got to fix that. We've got to move it into a numbered corp because if it's in your personal name, you owe personal tax dollars, they'll go straight for putting a lien on your personal house because they know you're not going to have the money to fight them. All right. But if your house or your farm, cottage, everything is in numbered corporations and you're not the director, they cannot do anything to you. Period. Sold my house July. How do I get the GST HST rebate on my new bill that closes in August? Razor. What we do is we make sure that the house is not being sold to you personally, it's being sold to a corporation, and then we can write off the entire house and all of the HST or GST on that house as a business expense. You get 100% of the GST back because if you open up a corporation today and the corporation buys an office tomorrow, even though the office is a house, it's still an expense. Right? Now, some accounts will tell you that's not true because it goes on the capital ledger. Well, I'm telling you that it is true because I would put it on the capital ledger in the following year. I wouldn't do it in the first year. I would write it off as a cash outlay expense. That's how we do it, my friend. That's how we do it. You're saying, unfortunately, somehow they have power to do that. No, the only thing that the CRA can do is they send a requirement to pay letter to the bank saying, freeze this account or give us money. The banks are under no legal obligation to do so, but they do it anyway. So you sue the bank. That's who you sue. Just because the CRA asks for something doesn't mean you have to do it. But everyone does it because it's the government. You got to do what the government says. Can you hear yourselves? Hey, you have the constitutional right to remain silent, which means shut up. Someone says, come with me. No. What's your name? Fungu. What's your mother's name? Mom. I'm not answering your questions. Piss off. You all have to start practicing in the mirror, that face. Why would you ask me questions like that? Who the hell are you? Hey, I've had some people phone me in the past. Like whenever I was coaching hockey and whatnot, and they would call me and say, no, Kevin, we don't appreciate what you said to the referee. I'm just yelling in the phone. Who the is this? Who the hell do you think you are talking to me like that in the phone? If you do that back, they stop. So all of you out there, you need to get mean, everyone. It's your personal information, for God's sake. And here's a prime example. It is incredible that on the phone, some loser who doesn't even speak English calls you and starts asking you for information about your personal lives, and you answer these questions. Now, I have a funny question I ask every single one of my female clients. If I was to phone you on the phone saying, hey, what's up? Kevin here. And I work with the Canadian National Underwear Institute. And I need you to tell me right now what underwear you're wearing. Is it full back? Is it thong? Is it lace? What color is it? What's it made of? How much do you pay for it? How many pairs do you have? What do you currently have in the washing machine? What would you tell me? You'd tell me to go F myself, right? And that's underwear. Underwear doesn't matter. But your house matters. Your money matters. Your car matters. Protecting your children matters. And you people out there keep answering their questions about all the financial ruin that they can bring to you by answering their questions. You'll protect your underwear, but you won't protect your life. Think about that, man. Come on. Best key place to keep money today is to avoid, yes. You need to, at all times, make sure you have enough cash hidden somewhere, like not under your pillow. I mean, crack a hole in the wall and put it behind the wall and like fix the wall, make it look good. You got to have some cash handy at all times. But you also need to make sure that you no longer have any money in personal bank accounts beyond $1,000. Everything be hidden in a numbered corporation where you are not the director. You're the owner, but not the director. That's what we all need to do. Everyone's panicking because the CRA is sending. But if you are protected, you have no house, no car, no money in your personal name. And you're not the director of any corporation where you're storing those things. You are 100%. It's called judgment proof, completely judgment proof. It's wonderful. You should try it sometime. All right. So, capital gains, everybody. Like I said back at the beginning of the show, no, you don't have to report capital gains. There's no law that says that you have to, period. There's no punishment. You don't. And see how they're going to get mad when they figure it out. And they're gonna shake their finger, and all you have to do is lie. If they get you on the phone, understand that you sold the house. You just tell them on the phone. I've never owned a house. I'm sorry. Who is this? And they'll say, "Well, my name is Officer." Like, officers, they're losers. Officer Jones, badge number 1284. Okay, badge number. That's an employee number. It's not a badge number. My God. So you're gonna lie. There is no benefit to you telling the truth to any branch of the government. Period. The CRA wants to ask a question, lie. Or tell them this one. It's even better. Listen, I have no clue what you're talking about. But we have a lawyer for just such an occasion. Give me your name and number. I'll have my lawyer call you. Don't ever call me again. And then if they call you back, the cops. So if I'm buying a new home and you buy it as a corporation, what if the corporation doesn't make money? Who gives a shit? Yeah, who cares? It's a business write-off. Companies don't make money anymore. Like, corporations are just not making any money. So if you are going to put out $1 million into a corporation and that corporation doesn't really make much money, well, the CRA can't put a gun to your head and say, "Hey, be a better businessman." They can't do that. So you just keep telling them, "Look, I'm sorry, I lost money." And if a corporation loses enough money, one day they're going to get fed up and say, "Hey, listen, we're just going to take away your HST number and we want you to fold up the corporation." And you tell them, "I'm not doing that." And they may do it for you. Okay, good. So now you're off the hook. But if you weren't the director, who cares? They can't chase you. The director is the sucker that the CRA will chase forever. GST, HST, and payroll. All right. And yes, by the way, everyone, I do payroll. All right. I have a payroll company. I I'm sure you're all familiar with ADP, automatic data processing. All right. Automatic data processing is a payroll company where they charge you like 50,000, and then they charge you like $30,000 extra per year. It's like 100 grand to have these guys write checks for you. And it's and they make sure that you pay this right now. That's what they do. If I do your pay, if you're working through my payroll corporation, you have staff on payroll. Check this out, folks. I don't charge you not one penny. There's no sign up fee, and there's no initiation fee, and there's no fee per check. All right. What happens here is you send us all of your staff's pay stubs or sorry, the pay amounts, the hours they worked and whatnot. We then put that in the system. We tell you, okay, the gross pay for this week is, let's say, $50,000. And what happens here is after everything's all said and done, that 50 grand, I'd say if you got $50,000 a week, you're probably dumping about maybe 18 grand of that every week in taxes to the government. What we do is we cut you back 10% of that $18,000. Cash back, tax free with an investment certificate. You don't pay for anything at all. We take care of all the payroll. It's my payroll number. So the CRA has to chase me for the money, not you. And you don't have any more payroll on your corporation. No corporation should actually have a payroll number anymore. There's no benefit to you, the company. It's not even a good write-off anymore. Sometimes the CRA disallows it. So why bother being involved? Let us take over all your payroll. Get a hold of Johnston.com. Johnston.com. Let me and my team of experts take care of all of your payroll. You're going to get 10% of it back. Tax free, man. The same week, never mind. All right. Straight to whatever account you tell us you want us to use. All righty. Back to your questions here. All right. Bramble, if your bank account for an Ontario corporation, should you refuse to tell the bank who the shareholders are and also your SIN number as the director? I think they ask these things. Well, they only ask for your social insurance number if you want to have a bank account that earns interest. But you tell them, no, we're going to be paying you a lot of money in service fee. We do not want to earn interest on this money because banks want. They say they have to. They want to report everybody who earns interest to the government. But if your corporation has, oh man, we got a big problem here with. I'm sorry, folks, for the audio bouncing in and out. I've got no idea why that is. Let me see if I can fix that right now. Check, 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 check. All right, I'm going to try. I just turned off reducing microphone background noise, and I also turned off echo cancellation. So let me know if that is any better, please, if you don't mind. Getting back to what I'm saying is the banks themselves, if they're not going to be paying interest on an account, you do not need to give the social insurance number over, period. And if you want to open up bank accounts for your corporation, you need to be the director for like the first week that the company is open. As soon as you open up bank accounts, plural, then you remove yourself as director. That's how that works. So no, don't give your social insurance number to anyone. That's none of their business. There you go. So I hope that helps. All right. All right, everyone, please, in Rumble and on Kick and YouTube, could you please let me know if the sound is any better now that I've turned off that echo cancellation stuff? Oh, now I've got to turn the volume up. My God, there's always problems when you buy new microphones, everyone. There's always going to be a problem. All right, let's try that. Again, everyone, please let me know how that sounds, and we will eventually figure this whole thing out. All right, back to your questions. How do we mitigate Ontario WSIB liabilities? Well, hold on. Which side of it are you on? Are you someone who has WSIB that you're paying fees on? If you're doing it through a corporation and WSIB is giving you a difficult time, then I just need you to sell me your Ontario-based corporation and all your WSIB debt and nonsense, and it is nonsense, all comes with it. Okay, folks? So please, if you have WSIB debt, GST or HST debt, payroll debt, corporate income tax, corporate credit cards you can't pay. If you've been sued and you have a judgment against you, you can't pay it. It doesn't matter. Sell me your corporation. I take all of the debt away from you. That's how that works. You get to walk away completely and totally scot-free. And then the CRA, they can tackle me, which, of course, they won't. CRA froze my bank account and they're garnishing 80% of my paycheck. I can't do anything. All right, so you need to go and talk to your employer and say, listen, I want to be on contract. I don't want to be on payroll anymore. There's a legal letter. I talked about this earlier in the show where we send off a letter to the CRA letting them know that we're taking them to tax court. We've got to file a tax court complaint with them. And as soon as that happens, then they have to lift it. But we also threaten your employer saying, we're in tax court. You can't garnish anything, and sue the employer. And we sue a lot of employers now, folks. Just for a quick basis out there, for all of you who own a company, if the Canada Revenue Agency sends you a requirement to pay letter and says that you must garnish wages, you are under no legal obligation to give the CRA money. Why would you steal from your staff and give it to the CRA? Who the hell do you think you are? That's illegal, man. It's theft. And believe me, I help clients. If you're one of those cowards who gives in to the CRA, I will help my clients sue you and absolutely annihilate you in the courts. You have no right to take someone's paycheck away from them like that at the behest of a letter. The Income Tax Act says the CRA is allowed to write the letter that says, give us money. But the Income Tax Act is not something that can be enforced at all against the average person. The CRA says in their letters that if you don't give us the money, we may, not will, we may hold you accountable for it. So as an employer, you should get pretty pissed off and say, hey, where's the court order? Don't contact us again until you get a court order. If you contact us again, we're suing you. Have some balls. I hate when employers garnish wages. And it always stems from the fact that you all say, but it's the government, we have to do it. I don't want to get sued. You coward. The captain always goes down with the ship. If you want to be an employer, if you want to be somebody out there that's telling people, come and work for me so I can make more money, you're then going to comply with the wishes of some jerk at the CRA without a court order. Because you don't want the CRA to take your money. They can't take your money. If they want to enforce that garnishment order, they must go see a judge, which they never do. So don't be a coward. Do not garnish wages. They cannot punish you for that in any way. God, start phoning the police, for God's sakes. Start suing the CRA. They will give up when you go on the attack. Can the CRA hold the owner's children for the corporation's debt? No. No. I don't know why people think that, but no. Unless you're stupid and you make your children directors. It's okay if you make your children shareholders, because you do not have to tell the Canadian government who the shareholders are of a privately held corporation. The director is the only file that the government can see. So that's why the director, let's say you've got 4 kids. So the director would be, let's see, Betty Boop, Optimus Prime, Peter Parker, I don't know, pick something else, Lois Lane and Lana Lang. How does that sound? Pick fictional names as a director. Your shareholders agreement and your corporate bylaws, that is what determines who the shareholders are. And you don't tell that to anyone. Remember what I said earlier in the show? Someone asks, oh, who are the shareholders? Go f yourself. And don't ever ask me that again. All right? All of you have got to start getting angry when people ask you personal questions. And you have to go on the attack, and you have to show your teeth. And you make sure that they know how serious you are about not being disturbed by anyone. If the police who have guns tell you you've got the right to remain silent, what would make you think that you've got to talk to anybody else? You've got the right. Shut up is what I mean. Stop talking. Stop answering questions. My God. And start getting mean and angry and vile and vitriolic and loud when people ask you personal questions. It's none of their business, no matter who they are. All right. To sue my RBC bank, I need to send a 15-day notice. Yeah, okay, guys. It's true. So what we do here, when the bank freezes your bank account as the result of the CRA, you tell them that you've got 15 days to either A, show me the court order, which they never get, but they always lie and say they do, or B, unlock the account. If you don't do so, then I'm going to be suing you for gross negligence and tort fraud. And make it 500 grand. Now you got to remember this, the banks have lawyers that cost them like $1,500 an hour. They don't want to deal with that nonsense, especially if your bank account's got less than 10K in it. My God, it'll cost them 100 grand to fight you in court. If 1 million Canadians grew some balls right now and filed 1 million lawsuits against banks, they would stop complying with the CRA. They would just stop right there on the spot. All you need to do, folks, is make life really, really expensive for people, and they will leave you alone. What if a credit card company sends a garnishee letter? Credit card companies are not cops. It doesn't matter if a credit card company sends a garnishee letter to your boss. Who the hell are they? They're a private company. My God, if your boss was to hand your money over, you could sue your boss. You'll win that one hands down. The credit card company needs to get a court order, which means they need to sue you or file a motion in the court. Without a court order, you don't have to do a goddamn thing in Canada, period. Is a shareholder agreement separate from the Articles of Incorporation? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The two of them would be like, I don't know, engine and gasoline. Yeah? They work well together, but they ain't the same thing. Oh, yeah, completely different. I got 50,000. Oh, yeah, look at that, everyone. We're at 52,000 likes. Keep them coming on TikTok, folks. Boop, 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 double fingers. Get 2 fingers rocking. The algorithm absolutely loves it when you find people out there are tapping those fingers. If you're on Rumble, it's like right about there. Hit the thumbs up, please. If you're on YouTube, like it, subscribe, share, hit the bell. If you're on Kick, I actually don't even know how Kick works, so I hope it's a thumbs up. And there's so many others out there, guys. I don't know how half of them work. So just like it, share it, spread it, get it all out there for everybody. All right, heading over to Rumble now. What are the benefits of having an American property in a limited liability corporation? Same thing as Canada. You are completely judgment proof. And the IRS cannot come at you unless that particular corporation does business. But if it's labeled as a holdco, then it's never going to do business and you'll never owe any dollars to the IRS, but you will to whatever city or region or county that you're in for property tax. So please be wary of property tax. Okay, everyone. Check the rest of your questions here. Who has signing authority if the director is a fake name? Well, that would depend on what you're signing. The only thing that matters when it comes to the director is the opening up of a bank account, which your lawyer can do for you, by the way. So once, like I said here, in order, I open a corporation for you. You then go to the bank, let's say a federal bank like BMO or Royal TD, and get one provincially. In Ontario, Meridian. In Alberta, you've got Bow Valley. Open up 2 bank accounts minimum, and then remove you as a director. There is nothing the director is ever going to sign for again, because if I'm writing your corporate bylaws for you, then I'm stating that the director of the corporation is a ceremonial title only. The director has no signing authority. The director has no decision-making power, has no access to the bank, and cannot answer questions and cannot do anything, period. That's what the corporate bylaws say. So at that point, it doesn't matter what the director's name is. And no, you do not have to show ID when you log into the provincial website and change the director to Bugs Bunny. Period. Okay, so we solved our sound problem, everybody. That's what it was. So we got to make a note of that. I have to get rid of noise reduction and click and pop and hiss reduction. There you go. The microphone's high quality enough. I don't need software assistance. How can I hire you to set my corporation up for my new home that's closing in August? Website, boom, right there, right over here. Kevin J. Johnston, that's an M.com. KevinJJohnston.com, everybody. And hit the contact form. If you could, please just say, I want a corporation in the subject line. Naturally, name and phone number, that helps. For all you people out there, you're naughty. You know, some of you fill out that form. You don't give me your email addresses, and you don't give me your phone numbers, and you only give me your first name. How the hell would I reach you? All right, come on. You got to type an email the way that we used to type stuff on typewriters in the 50s. I wasn't alive back then, but, you know, my name is, my phone number is, my address is. You got to give me your information, man. And hey, guys, I need a little bit of a description, like just 2 sentences. What's wrong? Because I get people all the time, call me. Like, what is it? You picking me up or something? What am I, a chick? You're picking me up in a bar? Call me? No, that's not how it works. I don't pick up the phone and call people because they say, call me. Hey, who would I be calling? I'm going to phone you and, hi, can I talk to Jake? Hi, Jake, this is Kevin J. Johnston. You said call me. How you doing? That's not how business works, guys. Come on, be real. Okay. Kyle, you make a very good point. You've been talking to people on direct messaging trying to get a hold of me. I'm going to say this loud for everybody. I do not talk to anybody through direct messaging on Instagram, on TikTok, on Signal, on, what's the other one? Telegram. I will not contact you on WhatsApp. The only time that you get my WhatsApp phone number is when you are already a client. If you are not on my official website, I got this $1,200 sign made to make it easy for you. If you're not on my website here, you are not talking to me. And before you hand over any money, make sure you're on just my website. I will never ask you for an email money transfer. I will never ask you for a credit card through an email or a direct message. I will be on the phone with you when you book your consultation. You will see me in the chat room. I'm going to give you a link to Zoom. You'll see me face to face. There's a lot of scammers out there. Yes, my popularity seems to be bigger than I thought that it was. And unfortunately, there's a lot of Canadians out there giving money to losers online. Stop it. And for those out there who get ripped off, I can't help you get the money back. What do you want me to do? Jump on a plane and go to Nigeria and look for Fufu and say, hey, give John his money back? Everybody out there needs to understand something, is that you have every country in Africa full of scammers. You have India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, full of scammers. Oman, full of scammers. These countries don't produce anything. They scam the Western world. You all need to be vigilant. And I'm telling you how to talk to me. My website is the only way to do it. If you're talking to anybody on DM, block them now. They're a scammer. Why Nigeria? Okay, how about Chad? How about Niger? Lesotho, is that better? Do you care? Okay, you're asking me why Nigeria. Why are you asking me why Nigeria? Are we going to make some kind of big deal of something right now? Because if we are, I'm just going to block you. All right? Next. All right, next question here. Fit Chick is asking me, question, how do we apply for handing out postcards with you? I already do this kind of promotional work. Oh, wow. Okay, very good. So, Fit Chick, just jump on my website up here. If anybody wants to deliver flyers for me in Canadian cities, I'm making a big announcement next week on which cities we're going to be delivering in. It pays $30 an hour. There's no tax on that because I'm not telling the CRA. You got to say, I want to deliver flyers only here. No DMs, no messaging. I'm not going to answer any of them. I do everything through the website to avoid scammers. There we go. Oh, yeah. Rio says he knows a prince in Nigeria that asked him for $50,000 once. Yeah, we remember that one. All right. No, I do not do complimentary consultations. What we do have, though, everyone, you'll be very, very happy about this. A lot of you are saying that you can't afford the $695 consultation fee. I get it. It's tough economic times, and I have to be very careful where I put my time. I'm still doing like 12 to 14 hours every single day, folks. And I was told specifically by my surgeon who realigned my jaw 8 days ago not to do my show tonight, not to talk for 2 hours straight. I'm here doing that against doctor's orders because I love what I do for a living. But I'm saying to you folks, I lost a whole week recovering from the surgery. My head was completely wrapped up in ice bags. I remember Fred Flintstone in the Flintstones when he got the mumps. That's what I've looked like. And I got to put the stupid thing back on as soon as I'm done talking here. And in fact, my jaw muscles are exhausted from talking. So with me going through that kind of suffering, and of course the 41 years of studying I've done in tax law, no, I'm not giving away things for free. But I am introducing on August the 1st, a monthly membership fee where twice a month, I'm going to have small private gatherings where you can all pop in, ask a question directly. You're going to get discounts on your tax. You're going to get discounts on your GST filings. You're also going to be able to, ready for this? Everybody who's going to be a member of my website starting August 1st is going to get a chance to win cash. That's right. We're going to have a cash giveaway like I used to do a couple years ago, but much bigger amounts. And when you're a member of my website come August number 1, you automatically get a raffle ticket. Automatically. So good things are coming, folks. And that is that. Roberto says, what's the best way to avoid capital gains on my mother-in-law's second property? She's selling it. You make sure that I am your tax guy. Okay, here's what we do. Lawyers, they suck in Canada. There's new rules, not laws, rules handed down by all of the law societies in Canada where they are telling lawyers in Canada that when someone sells a house, the money goes into your trust account. Now, your job as the lawyer representing your client is to look into every single debt that your client has and pay them. Then give the client what's left on the sale of their house. How dare you? That's what lawyers are doing. So what we did is we set up a private trust company in Ontario. Here's the way that we do it now. You're selling a property, you have your money go into my trust account where the money sits. And what happens is you sell it. Now we have to deliver what's called clean title to the buyer. No problem. I call the bank. We call the bank and say, hey, Banco, what's up? Listen, we got the money. I need you guys to send all the release documents now to the lawyer. We're not giving the lawyer anything until he gets his job done, period. So the house gets paid off. Now we're delivering clean title. You know what happens at that exact moment? Boom, I pay you your money. And I don't care what anyone, like let's say you've got 12 lawsuits against you. You think I care about that? The people suing you are not my client. You are. And I am not licensed, ergo, I don't have to follow anybody's rules. And I'm not going to follow anybody's rules, period. Do not let your lawyers put your money in their trust accounts. Have you seen what's going on? Like Indian and Pakistani lawyers in Canada are taking people's retainers and they're just screwing off with it. You don't get paid. Yeah. And there's no punishment for them. And who are you going to sue? Oh, it was Iqbal Khan. It was Parminder Singh. How many of those are there? And would they even admit to being that individual? And the other problem with Canadians is that white people are terrified of being called racist, even by people who steal from them. So don't put yourself through the headache, everyone. If you're selling that property, you don't want capital gain, you make sure I'm your tax guy. Boom, kevinjjohnston.com, and I'll make sure your mother gets every penny of what is hers on the sale of the property. CRA rolled out new rules to try to trick people into confessions. Yeah, the CRA's got the amnesty program. And here's what they say. Hi, everybody. Hi, we're the Canada Revenue Agency, and we know that times are tough. So what you could do is tell us all the times you cheated on your tax, and we promise not to charge you more money. We promise you don't have to pay tax on that money. Are you kidding me? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you to take your money. You have an amnesty program. The Canadian government says, hey, tell us the truth about your dishonesty and we're going to forgive you. Yeah, it sounds stupid when I say it that way, doesn't it? Because that's exactly what it is. And it is stupid. So do not, under any circumstances, fall for the CRA's amnesty trap. Instead, make sure I'm your tax guy. Move your house and your car into corporations, move your money into corporations, and they can go fungulo because there's nothing that they can do when they have nothing they can take. And that's entirely your responsibility, especially as an adult, to make sure that you do. Now, ladies, I'm going to say stuff here that you're not going to like, but you need to hear it. When I am dealing with families, married couples especially, and it comes to me saying, hey, you have a tax problem. And this tax problem is going to be huge in about 6 weeks to 10 weeks if you don't act now. You need to move your house out of your name into a numbered corporation. And the husbands are always like, yeah, that's a good idea, man. I want to be liability free. And the women, oh, I don't know. Like, I've never heard of anyone doing that before. You've never heard of anyone doing it before, so it's not right? It's not true? You know, ladies, you haven't heard of quantum computers either. That doesn't mean they're not real. My God. So somebody needs to be in charge. When I'm talking to married couples, someone needs to be in charge. Guys, that's you. Man up and say, listen, we are going to protect this property. I am not giving this property to the CRA or anyone else. Let's protect it. You know, my mother was the same way. She drove me nuts. I mean, I love her. It's my mom, right? But she drove me nuts because it wasn't on the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. It wasn't real. If I brought something to her attention, I never saw that on CBC. That's not, just, it doesn't seem right. Does that sound familiar, anyone? That's how my mother was. And she ended up being broke her entire life because CBC hasn't told me what to do. Well, sure, CBC does tell you what to do. Put on a mask, get needles that you don't need, spend money, pay your taxes on time. Yeah, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is very good at telling you what to do. And the problem is a lot of you out there are very good at taking the advice. So ladies, knock it off. I'll never forget it, guys. I'll tell this story. This guy had his wife and his mother in the chat room with me. I explained everything to this guy. And his mother's like, no, that just doesn't sound right. Nope. That's how she was talking. Nope. And I finally yelled at her and said, yeah, ma'am, who the fuck are you? Do you have any training whatsoever in civil law or tax law or criminal law? What do you actually know? You're sitting there saying, no, you don't like what I'm saying. Now you tell me why I'm wrong. Give me just one accurate thing to say. And she says, well, we're just not going to do business with you because I don't like the way you're talking to me. And I told the guy, so you kick that bitch out of the room now or we're done. And he asked her to leave, like, Mom, could you please leave, Mom? That is not how you handle bad people. Guys, I know we all love our parents. You should love your parents. We love our grandmothers. We love our aunts and uncles, sure. But those people, if they don't know what they're talking about, but they pretend that they do, are going to destroy you. So you got to sometimes say, Ma, I love you. Sit this one out. You're a bench warmer for this game. Pops, you know what? You're a great guy. Thanks for, not wearing a condom 50 years ago. I appreciate it. But get the hell out of here. You're ruining this. You guys, you got to take charge of your life, everyone. My parents were broke people because they followed the rules. And they got really mad at me because I didn't like the rules and I wouldn't comply with the rules. Kevin, why can't you do your homework all the time like little Johnny does down the street? Oh, because John's a loser. That's why. So if you've got family or friends who are constantly saying, nah, it's not a good idea. You know what it is? Is that they know their failures and they don't want you to be a winner. So you've got to get rid of absolutely everybody who's negative about everything. Every blood relative I have always told me, get a full-time job, don't rock the boat, pay your taxes on time. You don't need to be an entrepreneur. It's too much stress. Every aunt and uncle, my grandparents, my cousins, they're all broke. Every single one of them. Because they followed society's rules. They did what they were told. They got to work on time. They paid their taxes. They never opened up a business. And they all shunned me. And listen, I don't care about them shunning me. That's fine. I shunned them a long time ago. The point I want to make here is that I'm not taking advice from them, from any of them, about anything. Because I doubt that any of them can even tie their shoes properly. That's how it is. Okay, folks? So, someone says, good, tell us what to do. Excellent, Scotty. Here's what you do. Number one, recognize the fact that you are an adult and nobody is coming to save you. You are entirely responsible for you. If you are a man married with children, congratulations. You're the patriarch of the family. That means you have a duty to be the best damn man that you can. You got to stand up to everything and everyone. As soon as someone looks like they're getting in your way financially or spiritually or emotionally, you got to dust them. You tell them, listen, man, you're too negative. You're getting on my nerves. Get out of my house. And spend more time with your kids. Spend more time building relationships with the people that matter. That's number one. Number two, men, especially men, stop crying. The Canada Revenue Agency, I've been saying it for 2.5 years. They're not cops. You're not doing prison time if you protect your earnings from the CRA, period. Now get that into your heads and realize, okay, now that I know the CRA cannot imprison me and they can't punish me because the Income Tax Act is not the law, now I'm going to keep all of my money. But we're going to strategize. I'm not just going to say, hi, CRA, F you. What we're going to do is move this house into a corporation. We're going to move our money either out of the country into crypto or into a corporation somewhere. We're not going to brag to our friends that we did this. We're going to shut up about it. We're going to exercise our right to remain silent. We protected ourselves. Whew. Okay, that's off our plate. Then, when the CRA threatens you, you threaten them back. As men, as soon as you're threatened, the threat comes right back. You know, whenever someone says, hey, listen, if you do, whatever the threat is, just tell them, hey, buddy, that goes double for you. Now, it's in your best interest to leave. All right? That's what you got to do. You know what else we got to do as men? You need to learn how to fight. You need to do calisthenics. You got to get exercise going. You got to be strong. You got to be fit. You learn how to use firearms. Learn how to fight with knives. I've done all this stuff. I'm a member of a gun club here. I blow a lot of bullets, man. I fire a lot of bullets every damn week because it is my duty as the patriarch of the family to protect my entire family. Financially, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. Yeah, I keep third world populist nonsense away from my family. I keep propaganda away from my family. I will keep intruders away from my family. You know what I'll do? Boom, boom, boom. And I'll go to bed and sleep like a baby because I know I did the right thing. Men, man up. The Canada Revenue Agency is full of a bunch of losers. They have no authority. They are the weakest people on the planet. As soon as you start screaming and shouting at them or calling them racist names, they give up. That's how weak they are. So it's time for all of you out there to stop caring what the outside world thinks of you. For anybody out there who's curious about my life, just look my name up, Kevin J. Johnston. You know what you're going to see? Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CTV, City TV, Toronto Star, Vancouver Sun, Calgary Herald, Montreal Gazette. I have been covered by every media outlet in Canada. You know what they call me? Racist, Islamophobic, anti-vaxxer, racist, says mean things. Yeah, that's what every media outlet says. And you know what it did for me? Oh yeah, it brought a lot of clients my way because it's free advertising. Who cares what people think? Someone wants to call you racist. You know why? Because you said no to them. They wanted something for free. You said no. Well, you're racist. Right? Losers. So just walk away. You don't put any energy into people like that. Your energy is all in the wrong place. Your energy as the patriarch of the family men is to take care of your family by making sure you fight everybody off, starting with the CRA. All right? Good. Now I've told you all what to do. Next question. Okay. I'm being told I'm a fictional man. No idea what that means. Okay. Oh, yeah. I'm being told that people have been seeing me at the Toronto protests. Yeah, I was a journalist, guys. I was all over the country watching the Canadian government lie to the Canadian people. If you guys remember, I was live on Facebook and Instagram at the same time, and Toronto police showed up in this black SUV, and on top of the SUV was this big camera ball that was, panning around like this. And I walked right over to the SUV. A friend of mine had a little step stool. So I stood on that, and I had the camera like this with this big camera ball behind me, explaining that the Toronto police are being paid overtime to bring this stupid camera ball down here to take photographs of everybody's face for facial recognition. Now, of course, these cops know who I am. And I made a lot of jokes out of it. So I get a letter from the Toronto police telling me that I'm not allowed to block their cameras. That's the pathetic country that we live in, man. It's ridiculous. Is it a good idea to be a sole proprietor or always better to incorporate? Well, a sole proprietorship allows you one thing. That allows you to have a personal HST number or a personal GST number, which means you can write off a lot of personal expenses, which is phenomenal. But I only ever would use a sole proprietorship for write-offs, not for business. You always want to do everything in a corporation because if you make financial mistakes, you can always sell me the corporation and walk away from every single debt that you have. There you go. CBC just lost Hockey Night in Canada, yet the top dogs will continue to make dollars for Liberal people. Wow, really? Well, I guess that's good. Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is a joke. What does it cost for a trust corp in Panama? It's $5,000 US flat. What that gets you is the registration of the corporation, all the legal paperwork that goes with it, registration with the province that you're registering in, and the bank account opened up completely. That's all included with that. Do we need to pay income tax if we're from another country and have a have a company in Quebec. Never have a company registered in Quebec, ever. Why? Because not only are you subject to the CRA, but you're subject to those Nazis over at Revenue Quebec. Revenue Quebec. Those guys are insane. Now, Quebec gets away with all that crap because every province in the Dominion of Canada is on common law. Quebec is on civic law. So they can do what they want. Yeah. It's not legal in the other 9 provinces to say, if you are a resident of Ontario, you get a discount to go up the CN Tower. Can't do it. It's illegal. But in Quebec, they say, if you're not a resident of Quebec, you have to pay full price. If you are a resident of Quebec, and you can prove it with all kinds of identification, you get 25% off going up the Big O Tower. Civic law is bad news, people. So that is Quebec. If you want to do business in Quebec, you register a corporation in Ontario. I've got an address you can use and charge Ontario's HST within Quebec, but never have a Quebec tax number. That province is sick. It's insane. And it's also broke, completely broke, which is why the Nazis at Revenue Quebec are chasing absolutely every Quebec-based corporation for everything they can possibly get their hands on because they're broke. Like I said earlier in the show, employment insurance is empty in Canada. It's become a Ponzi scheme. They rob from John and pay Paul and Peter. And then they'll rob from Peter again and pay back to Paul. They're broke. And Canada Pension Plan is going to be empty by 2032. So why are any of you paying into EI and Canada Pension Plan? Because we have to. It's the government. No, you don't. You choose to. You've just chosen to take it in the ass and not do anything about it. That part's on you. Now, I'm educating all of you, and I'm hoping that all of you out there watching this realize that you do not have to comply with anything the government says in reference to your taxes, your personal money. It's no one's business. All right? Here's the only time you can't lie, or maybe shouldn't, unless you're really, really good at it. Number one, when the cops arrest you, don't lie, don't tell the truth, don't say anything to the cops except, where's my lawyer? Lawyer, lawyer, woo, woo, I want my lawyer, lawyer, lawyer. Every time they speak, lawyer. Mr. Johnston, how much do you weigh? Lawyer, lawyer, I want my lawyer. Just keep yelling the word lawyer. Say nothing else. All right? And it's the same thing with the CRA. We think that you owe this. Talk to my lawyer. I'm not talking to you. I don't answer questions. Send everything you want in writing. My lawyer will get back to you. That's how you do it. What's your take on the news that Canada is in a recession? I told you. 2018, I had an economist from Germany on my show. And he was quite the expert when it came to economics. And he explained that Canada's left-wing leanings was going to push it towards bankruptcy. And what this guy said on my show is that Canada could be expected, he didn't say would, could be expected to be in a full-fledged recession by the beginning of 2025. Well, he was 1 year off. He said that back in 2000, I think it was 2018. I'm pretty sure it was 2018. All right, guys? So the economists have been saying this forever. I was saying it. Like, this guy gave me a whole bunch of stuff to read, and I did. And I started coming up with my own numbers based on everything this guy had explained to me. And here we are. Now, I'm going to say something you're not going to like. But Canadians deserve this. I'll tell you what I mean by that. Canada was prosperous, more so than any country should have been, from 1948 to about 1994. The problem with that is you had 3, possibly even 4 generations of people who believed that a peaceful life with no stress was their birthright. And that's just not how it works. Canada, it's 6 decades of prosperity. That's not common. That is actually very rare in human history. And every single civilization that ever went up, they always crash hard. Nobody wanted to listen to the professionals. Everybody wanted to just go to the hockey game, eh? Oh, let's go watch the Blue Jays, eh? Let's go down to Tim Hortons and have a coffee, eh? Oh, it's half-price beer night, eh? That's what Canadians focused on. And then you all saw what happened with that COVID crap. Everybody turned on everybody. So you have an entire nation now screaming at each other over stuff that the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation had to say, which did not benefit any of you in any way. So this recession, Canada, is all your fault. You've been voting Liberal for a long time. Mostly the boomers are doing that because they're always being promised free stuff. Nothing's free, all right? And as for the middle generation, the guys who are, I guess, in their mid-30s now, well, you were tricked into thinking all kinds of stuff like men can be women, women can be men, the planet is flat, the planet's warming up. Are you kidding? The whole planet's warming up, huh? You believed all that stuff. They tried that with us in the 80s. Actually, in the 70s, they said there was going to be an ice age before the year 2000. Then in 1982 and 1983, they told us that acid rain was a problem. And for 5 years, everybody was putting on weird body creams to protect themselves from acid rain. When that didn't work, global warming, all right? That didn't work. So now it's climate change. What the hell does that mean? The climate changes every nanosecond of every day of every year. So you've got this bizarre, crazy middle millennial generation who are still on our case about everything. Oh, yeah, it's right, SR. Remember the ozone layer? We're going to have no ozone layer because people have CFCs in their spray cans. Do you guys remember that McDonald's, they used to have these foam trays for your Filet-O-Fish and your hamburger and your Big Mac? Everything was in foam. And somehow a McDonald's tray was going to go all the way to the atmosphere, the ozone layer, by itself and destroy the ozone layer for nefarious reasons. They used to tell us this stuff on television. Oh, you can't have Freon leaks in your air conditioning in your car because it destroys the ozone layer. And not only did they say all this stupid crap to us, but then they said on the news, hey, everybody, guess what? There is a 600-kilometer wide hole in the ozone layer right now. And where was the hole? It was over the dead center of Antarctica, a place that nobody is allowed to go. Now, what were we going to do in 1989? Let's get on a plane and fly to the southern tip of Argentina and then hire a bunch of, I don't know, Sherpas to take us to the middle of Antarctica, where it's minus 75 degrees Celsius all the time, and measure the ozone layer to see if the news is telling the truth. Conveniently, it was Antarctica that had the ozone hole, not the North Pole, where people could actually go, but the South Pole. Well, I'm not buying into any of it, everyone. And unfortunately, a lot of you are being taxed on all of these stupid ideas. How do you take people's money away? Like this? You tell them there's a problem that doesn't exist, and then you tell them that you have the solution. Do you guys remember the stand-up comedy routine I used to do? Where I would say, on stage, my God, it's hot as freaking hell in here. And you know what I was just told on the news yesterday? That if I give money to somebody, the temperature will drop back down. So hold on, let's try this. I reached in my pocket and I grabbed $51 bills and I went like this. Say, hey, okay. And we waited for all the bills to land, and with the microphone, I followed the last one all the way down to the floor. I'm thinking, oh shit, the temperature, it hasn't changed, man. I'm still sweating. It's still hot. I think I got lied to. Yeah. People were laughing. Great. That's what you're supposed to do at a comedy show. But that's all this is. It's comedy. And a lot of people have fallen for it. So remember that. Every single time that you hear on TV that there's some kind of problem with the planet, the second that they say, and we have a new initiative, boom, turn it off. Scam. Scam. And by the way, everybody, let's just say, for argument's sake, every single Canadian had $1 million of spare cash lying around. What would happen if all 41 million people in Canada just handed over $1 million? Where would the money go? Who would be counting where the money went? Who's going to be holding anyone to account for all of the accounting? Come on, folks. Everything's a tax. Everything's a con. Everything's a scam. Stop falling for it. Stop paying tax. Okay. Last couple of questions here. RRSP strategy? Yeah. Don't ever put a single penny into the RRSPs ever. Take all your spare money, put it into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, crypto. You want to make money? It's the crypto market. You're never going to make money with RRSPs. It costs you money. And think about this. Every time you put money in the bank, in Canada? You know what I'm going to say, right? Your spending power drops. Inflation goes up, the amount of money in the bank stays the same, so your buying power drops. Money in the bank in Canada? Stupid. Money into RRSPs? Dumber than stupid. Our ESPs and stuff like that? Dumb. Why would you want to be involved with any of that? You're going to lose. Every dollar you put into an RSP, you're going to lose 50 cents of it through the loss of buying power and then the final tax bill when you actually cash it out. Now, taking money out of an RRSP is not a problem. The problem is that all the brokerage houses and the banks, they all say the same thing. It's the law. We have to hold 30 to 38% back. It's the law. We have to give it to the CRA. It's not the law. It's a CRA policy. That's all that it is. All right? Look at it this way. All right? The Criminal Code of Canada is way up here. This is the stuff you go to jail for, like breaking into houses, crashing airplanes, speeding. That's in the Criminal Code of Canada, okay? But then you've got the Income Tax Act, which is not law. It only pertains to people who work for the CRA. Then below this stupid act, you've got the CRA itself, and they've got their policies, which only pertain to them, not to you and I. And then below the policies, they've got rules. And the rules is what everybody follows. It's weird, man. Because if you're down here following the rules, you're also following CRA's policy and the Income Tax Act and the Criminal Code. This is the only one I follow. I only care about the Criminal Code of Canada. I do not break any laws in that. The Income Tax Act, CRA policy, rules, go straight to hell, man. You cannot make money if you're following the Income Tax Act or the rules or the policies of the CRA. You just can't. And because you cannot do prison time for any of it, why are you even bothering? This is why I go nuts. Every single time you fill out a tax return, you're snitching on yourself. If you want it done the right way, it's got to be me, folks. It's got to be me. It's got to be my team. We are not afraid of the CRA. I've also structured everything that the CRA has absolutely no idea who the accountants are that we work with. So even though it's my team that does the taxes, it's other accountants that do all the signing off on things, and it's even other lawyers that do all the swearings in. There's no way for the CRA to know. I want each and every one of you watching this show to realize you do not have to pay tax in Canada. And this is not free man on the land crap. I hate those people. They get everybody in trouble. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, I've got the right to drive a car without a driver's license. I'm just inviting trouble if I think like that. You don't have to pay tax. Just do it the right way. The people who work for the CRA, they've got a screw loose, man. They've got something wrong with their heads. These are people that follow rules. They have no imagination. They have no idea how to run a business. They have no idea how to run life. Nobody in their personal lives care about them in any particular way. If you speak to them, you would know, there's something wrong with this guy. They're losers. They know they're losers. So what happens here is when they see that your paperwork is not complete on your file, what do? They send a letter, they make a phone call, because like their brains are saying, get this paperwork done. Like, remember that movie Rain Man? That's what they're like. So here's what we do. We give them the paperwork that they want, but we make sure that it's got the absolute minimum amount of information on it to hurt you, and that's what we submit. And if they give us any lip, then we take them to tax court. That's how and if they get worse than lip, which I really don't like from the CRA, we file criminal charges. I get the private investigators out there and we find them at home. That's what we do. You'd be amazed at how quickly government employees break down in tears when you show up at their front door. They think that they're immune to everything. All you got to do is change the rules. The rules are this. I'm on the attack now. You're not going to talk to me. You're not going to talk to my wife. You're not going to talk to anyone any longer. And for the ladies out there, when you get phone calls from a man and he in any way from the CRA threatens you at all, call the police. Tell them, I just got threatened on the phone. Because the way that the laws work in Canada, which are stupid, but they do work this way, it's how you feel about the interaction, not what actually happened. So if a million Canadian women called the police when the CRA get belligerent on the phone, Now what we're doing here is we're stopping the police from walking around Canada arresting Christians just for praying, and we got to turn their focus onto the CRA because women are the ones complaining. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. Now, there's a couple of really belligerent CRA reps that have called female clients of mine. I've directed them. Here's the script. Call the cops right now. Yeah, you're allowed to be afraid. You're allowed to say you're afraid, even if you're not. I'm afraid. I think this person's going to kill me. I'm calling the cops. You are allowed to perceive things like that. So all of you out there, go on the attack. The CRA are the weakest people alive today, period. Can Ontario and corporation open bank accounts in the United States? No. Just get an LLC in the States. It's like $95 in Wyoming, guys. Get an American corporation, get an American bank account. Ta-da, done. Just like that. Keep your money outside of Canada. Put it in Panama, Colombia. Now, even El Salvador is really up and coming. Put it into places like wise.com or airwallets.com. Crypto. Get lots of crypto. You guys got to keep your money outside of Canada. And the Canadian dollar by this time next year is slated to be worth less than 65 cents per US dollar. That's 10 cents less than it is now. You're going to lose buying power. So get the money out of the country now. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, that's 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 41 seconds. That just absolutely flew past. I'm going to go ahead and say thank you very much. You've been listening to me kind of crackle a lot here tonight. I had jaw surgery last week. I got my jaw fixed finally. I held it off for like 12 years, and here we are. I was told specifically not to do this show tonight by my doctor. I know he's watching. Doctor, sorry, but man, let me tell you this. When you're healing from a surgery, the only thing you can do is sit on your ass and watch TV. So here's the question I've got. How do people do it? How do you do it? How do you sit in front of a television for 8-9 hours a day? I hate it. It drives me nuts. I'm back to work now because, even though I'm not supposed to be, because I can't watch any more TV. Netflix sucks and Disney Plus sucks. There's just nothing to watch. All right? I want to work hard because I love what I do. So what I'm getting at here, folks, is I came back a week early because I love you so much. I love what I do for a living. I absolutely miss doing this, and we're going to do it again in exactly 1 week's time. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. This is the Tax and Money Show that runs live right here on freedomreport.ca. That's every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. There'll be no more missing of the show because I have no more surgeries taking place for the rest of this year. The only thing that's going to stop me now from doing this show is if the parachute that I'm going to be using in 5 weeks doesn't open. So all of you pray for me, and we'll see you in a week's time. I love you all, and good night.